This is your house. Oh, this is your house.
What's going on, podcast listeners? Thanks for tuning in to this episode. I'm your host, Caleb, and this is
JV.
very nice. We are super excited that you have joined us for the next hour or so as we will be embarking upon podcast episode, I believe this is 8.
Let's go with it.
Sounds right?
You
Yeah,
can't trust my
podcast
counting skills.
episode 8. It's going to be real awkward when I look back and it's not, but I'm like 90% sure this is 8.
Not even gonna try.
We are really excited, I think, for the topic and
No, I'm
for the
bummed.
show today. It's going to be a good time. Before we get to that, Ethan and I were talking a minute ago about some exciting... Oh, it is 8? Nice.
is
We
8.
nailed it. All right.
I just realized that the title that you titled the last podcast.
Yeah, get the goose out of here.
I
Yeah,
haven't
hopefully
listened to
you
it yet.
enjoyed the discussion on purity last week and the exhortation, get the
that.
goose out of there.
That's awesome.
Sometimes
That's
you got to
so
do it,
true.
right? Sometimes you got to get the goose out of
Get
there.
your goose out of there.
Yeah. I love it, bro. I love it. TV, how's your week been, bro?
Dude, my week's been so good. I am blessed. Busy season as usual with the holidays and Christmas and all sorts of stuff, but I'm also super blessed. I was reading through Daniel in my personal Devo time,
Oh, man.
and I just got to the part where it's like Daniel in the lion's den. But what leads up to that event is the king makes a decree that nobody's allowed to worship or pray to any other god besides the king. And then Daniel gets caught praying 3 times a day. And the scripture says specifically, like, he was giving thanks 3 times a day and then also giving supplication as well.
Right.
And so I was really blessed by that and just exhorted and encouraged to, like, give thanks more. So I've just been thanking the Lord a little bit more.
What a
this week.
good exhortation in the midst of this season where it's so much like want, what's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
I have a lot to be
Giving
thankful
thanks.
for. Last
You do,
Christmas
bro.
was a little bit of a harder Christmas. My mom got diagnosed with cancer. And this Christmas, we decorated the tree yesterday, and I was just so blessed to just be
Nice.
with her, and she's healthy. And
Yeah. Ooh, good question.
family.
So you just now decorated for Christmas.
We did. We tried to wait a little bit.
I can tell by
but-
your festive
Yes.
apparel. Yeah. See, my wife
bugged.
wanted to decorate before Halloween for Christmas.
What?
Yeah, Courtney's very, very
Oh,
Christmas
Lord.
decor motivated.
Oh, man.
We held off until like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and then she was like, "Nah, we're ready." So we put up the tree. She actually, confession time. Like 4 years ago, like pretty early in our marriage,
Oh,
she
no.
bought this garland, like really long, like multiple connection sections of like green
Wow.
garland, right?
Excellent.
And
Sounds beautiful.
determined she's gonna hang it
Oh.
on
like at the
like
perimeter of the room or something?
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So like in our living room,
That's
our main
cool.
living room is sectioned off to like it almost looks kind of like an extension that leads to like a patio outside, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's kind of like a low hanging soffit that like comes off there. She wanted to like hang it to that,
That's
right?
cute. Okay.
So went to Home Depot. She got like these little like temporary hook things. Put a ton of them
Oh,
up.
dude, those don't work.
Exactly. So the whole first year we had it, every morning we wake up, it's like how much of the garland is still hanging up,
That's
how many of
awesome.
those hooks held up. It was a daily thing. It was a terrible battle. By Christmas, we had put it back in the box. It wasn't happening. Every year since, she has tried some sort of new hanging methodology to like get it to stay up there.
Yeah.
All to order things off Amazon.
like, hooks
At
in
one
there?
point, we were looking at like drywall. Well, we're renters, right? So we don't want to like put something super permanent. But like there are these little
so
like hooks you can
nice.
throw in a drywall that kind of like expand on the other side. It's a block soffit, so
Oh,
there's no
fast
getting
hardened.
through the right. So it's
Oh.
last year I persuaded her we're just not doing it. I'm not dealing with it the whole Christmas season, so we didn't put it up. This year, once again, 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving,
She's about to
she
go.
ordered. She saw on Pinterest this idea. She ordered basically
I believe in it.
like industrial sized
Oh.
shower curtain rod.
I don't like where this is going.
Strung that bad boy up across this massive span.
What, like
and
the little loop-de-loop wrap
basically wrapped this garland around it.
All right.
Did lights and the whole deal. It actually
at her.
looks insane.
Aw, see?
My kids were so
Look at
blessed.
that.
And then that motivated her.
How cool is that?
Incrementally, she's continued to decorate. She went straight like Buddy the Elf on my house, bro. Like she did like
Sorry, there's a skeeter.
is a
in
mosquito on me. We good?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
literally-
there it is,
See
bro.
that thing?
Sorry,
Oh,
listeners, if I
she
just
gone.
clapped really loud in the mic, but there's a skeeter. She gone. All right.
She is a she.
Courtney did these like big like snowflake like cutout kind of things that are hanging now on like my sliding glass door. The mugs, the tree. She got a
Wow.
train
Yeah.
that goes around the tree for my
A train?
kids, bro. I'm not even kidding you.
Wow,
It
she's
literally
really in
looks
the
like that
spirit.
scene where Buddy the Elf like decorated because Santa was coming the next day. And we don't even do Santa with my kids, so it's really awkward. But they don't. Jesus is coming to town or something, bro.
That's gonna be a good podcast episode.
What, to talk
Talk
about
about-
Santa?
That's so
oh
cool.
man. All
Man,
right,
talk
maybe
about,
a
like-
future episode on the pod.
Man.
Maybe we'll do that for our Christmas
Because
episode.
I still believe that Santa's real, so this will be hard for you when I rebuke you.
Wow.
Wow. No, I think only.
Where is he in the Bible? Oh wait, I'm so sorry. No, you remember I taught on when Santa punched out a heretic? Maybe we'll talk about that too. That was a great
I love
day.
that
study.
That was awesome.
Gotta love it,
That's
man.
the only one I remember.
Yeah, it's,
It's
it's so good.
No, I think the only appropriate time to decorate for Christmas is after Thanksgiving.
Okay, I tend to agree
'Cause
with
how are
you.
you gonna eat Thanksgiving in a tree in the
There's a
background?
tree in the background. I tend to agree with you. I think on principle you are right. I do think that's the appropriate milestone for both that and listening to Christmas music.
Concur.
And yet,
And yeah.
talk to me when you're married and your wife has a different conviction. Because
Fair
Courtney's
enough.
listening to Christmas music in like
Fair
July. I don't. Yeah,
Oh.
can't get on board for it. But
Okay, you know what?
gotta do
I'll
what you
concede.
can
I'll
do.
concede on one thing. I did watch Disney's A Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah.
I did watch that before Thanksgiving.
Well,
I
bro,
love that movie though.
That's a good movie. All right. Well, that's a
couldn't hold myself
perfect segue into actually acknowledging outline for the show. There's our introduction. We're gonna talk theological conversation today
Okay.
on critique or criticism. I want to make it more like constructive criticism because it shouldn't just be like tolerating all criticism. And yet we're so subjective in how we evaluate criticism.
Okay.
It might be constructive, and maybe you just don't think it is. So we're gonna talk about criticism, and hopefully come to a better mindset or better approach on how we can receive that and
Yeah.
personally learn and grow. And we'll kind of further unpack that in a minute here. And then our game today, Chief, I haven't even told you what game
No,
we're
I don't
playing.
even know,
So
bro.
you brought up,
Lay it on me.
you watched The Christmas Carol.
Yeah. We got.
Here's what we're gonna do. This
Okay.
is gonna be a Christmas movie
Stoked.
bracket
Ooh.
for all around what's the
Ooh.
best Christmas movie.
Oh, this is
so
good.
similar to how we evaluated the Bible characters earlier. I got a list here of
is a good
16
Dude, you're like the ultimate
Christmas
game.
movies. All right. And
Okay.
here's the deal. There are a lot of movies that are on this list. I'm
Yeah.
sure some of our viewers are gonna be like, "But you forgot." Hey,
Yeah.
maybe next year, or future year, or something, we'll
Yeah.
throw it on there. I scoured 4 lists
Yeah.
of the top,
Oh,
like
dude.
anywhere from 40 to 75 Christmas movies,
Uh-huh.
and these were all on
I can
all
look at
those
this
lists.
list, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Good, 'cause
we're
I
gonna do
already
the
did.
same thing. I'm gonna put 2 up against each other each
Sure.
time. We're gonna narrow it down
Oh.
and then ultimately come up with
Wow.
which one is the
I like.
best.
I like what this. There's only a couple that I'm not like super familiar with, but
Okay.
or 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Oh man, this is
Yeah,
gonna be
it's pretty good. All right. So that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Well, CCB Youth, we'll be back in just a moment. But before we cut to the break, I do want to remind you guys, for those of you who've been listening to the pod, remember we are doing a Christmas meme caption contest. You can screenshot different images of us from these shows and caption them, meme them, and send them in to the ccbutthehouse@gmail.com email so that we can evaluate them on a show shortly into the new year. And there will be a prize for the best one.
Yes.
I don't want to tell you exactly what it is
We don't
yet
know what.
because
No, because he doesn't know what it is.
I have 2 ideas that I need to run by you. So
we
we'll
don't
talk
have
about it
the
another
means
time.
or the money.
Right.
Or
We don't have
the
a deep
ideas.
well of resources. But I
there
do have
may
some
be.
ideas. I do have some ideas.
It
So
may be on some like a par of like either pocket lint or like a paper clip, but it will be something.
Something
that will
along
bless you
those
from
lines.
the Lord.
So yeah, we'll let you know. All right, we'll pop to a short break that will cover some of that, but wanted to personally pitch that to you. Send those memes in because we've got 0 so far. So it's gonna be really disappointing if I just make like 15 and then
That would be.
I win the prize. So, all right, with that, stay tuned. We'll be back with our show in just a minute. I should not have done that. I took away. Hey, podcast listeners, thanks for bearing with us on these breaks. As always, we just want to remind you to send in your questions, your comments, your suggested topics, and or feedback to the Calvary Chapel Brandon Youth email, which is ccbyoutthhouse@gmail.com. We love hearing feedback on the show. We would love to hear, once again, your thoughts and or ideas. If there are guests you want, if something's not working, is working, whatever. Hit us up at ccbyoutthhouse@gmail.com. Thank you.
This is
All
not
right.
fair.
Well,
The fact that you do this to me. This is ridiculous.
we were talking about how Ethan's hair looks like
Unconstructive criticism.
unconstructive
This is
criticism. Yeah. You think I made it this far in life dressing like Peter Pan here? What can we say? All right, man. So, transitioning. Here's our theological conversation for the day. We were talking about criticism or critique. And here's kind of what got me on this topic, right? Because I know this one's probably a little more out of pocket in light of maybe like some of the things that we've talked about before.
Let's talk about criticism.
Yeah,
for the
exactly. A real
holidays.
cheery subject. Last week
In
was
case somebody
purity.
don't like your Christmas tree.
Right. So I was educating myself on Gen Z, right, in an effort to try to better understand our youth group, our listeners.
What did they say about us?
There were some interesting stats and observations I stumbled on. So Gen Zers respond to accusations that they are lazy by listing all the reasons why they don't want to work. That was a headline. that was a headline.
That's stupid.
Not even
I
kidding
would
you.
deny it.
Let me
Why would
read
you
it
do
again.
that?
Gen Zers respond to accusations that they are lazy by listing all the reasons why they don't want to work.
How about the accusation that you're bad at arguing?
Let me break this down for you. 6 items. They aren't fulfilled at work.
Okay.
They are considering new and alternative types of work.
Okay.
Wages have stagnated.
Okay.
Boomers are working longer, so I don't have to.
Oh
And they get the priority of the job selections. I'm prioritizing my work-life balance.
You're not.
Or, bro, this one in particular got me. I'm too burned out to care.
Okay. Well, when
Listen,
you don't have food on the table, then
This
we'll
is
talk.
this is a Business Insider article. Listen, CCBU. Same article. It actually says Gen Z, in light of these claims, right? I found this interesting. This is like a non-Gen Zer evaluating those claims now, right?
Sure.
Says Gen Z is a generation that can't handle feedback but demands more of it, right? I found that highly interesting. And
Okay.
CCB, as you're listening, right? Maybe ponder that for a moment, right? They want real-time, ongoing feedback on their performance, but are sensitive and easily offended when it is given back because there's confusion related to this idea. Feedback doesn't mean praise. And so this article, it really argued it's about shifting mindsets to receive feedback well. That's what businesses today need to work to accomplish. Way more about like how their criticism is pitched so that it's received well, as opposed to the opposite, right? Now, I found this interesting too, right? When we look at like, well, my generation, I'm technically a millennial, right? I'm like right on that cusp.
I could tell.
We're super, yeah, you know, what can I say? our generation in tandem with Gen Z, right? Millennials and Gen Z individuals have grown up in an era that's characterized by rapid technological advancements, increased access to information, and a strong emphasis on individuality and personal expression. And so this same article, it argues when providing constructive criticism to millennials and to Gen Z, it can be helpful to consider their preference for open communication, collaboration, and feedback that's delivered in a respectful and empathetic manner. Oh, you got that? That's
Oh, you got it.
I don't know if they can see
is a
that.
warning.
It's on my hand. That's horrifying.
Don't bring any of your mosquito buddies around
yeah,
here ever
yeah,
again.
yeah. There
Here,
you
wipe
go.
it on my face.
Okay, no. We're just gonna. Okay.
Ew,
yeah.
what happened to it?
It's gone. It evaporated.
Like my intelligence on the show.
Yeah. Okay. Coming back. So this is how Gen Z receives. This is how, if people are trying to be effective with Gen Z, how they should work. And then additionally, this article acknowledges, in acknowledging their desire for meaningful work, for personal growth, and a sense of purpose, this can all enhance their receptiveness to constructive feedback. Now, I'll tell you, okay, so kind of like starting to bring this full circle.
Okay.
I was reading this more under the premise of trying to educate myself, like how can we better reach our students? How can we grow in kind of leading this generation, bridging that gap, and not even just Gen Z, but Gen Alpha, right? I'm trying to gain some understanding and exposure because like this is the next generation of kids, and you know, as youth pastors, youth ministers, things like that, we want to be aware of this. But it was really interesting to me because as I was evaluating like just this information, it did very quickly result in kind of like a not only how can we better like serve and minister, but like what can we do to help open up that mindset from a biblical perspective, right? Like not just how can I like discreetly address this problem or this knowledge, but like how can we tackle it head on and going like, hey, this is who you guys are. This is how your generation operates. What does the Bible say about that? You know? And so I was pretty quickly brought to, and some of this was just kind of like looking through the Bible. Some of it was looking at verses related to constructive criticism or criticism in general. And I found Hebrews 12:11. It says, "Now no chastening seems to be joyful for the present, but painful. Nevertheless, afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it." And that verse in particular really jumped out to me. And I know that specifically Paul is addressing like rebuke from the Lord in context and like those trials and tribulations that he might show or send your way kind of thing. But there are indications to this text extending beyond just like you and God and what he sends you.
No, it was his letter. It was a previous letter that he sent to them.
That Paul did? Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, the context is the fact that he sent them that's the second letter between 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and it's a very searing rebuke. Yeah. And then their response was to, and as a
well, this is in Hebrews though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about
no, you're good. You're good.
That was a passage.
I was going to say, you're assuming Paul wrote Hebrews? No, I'm just kidding. I do that. So I do think, though, that Paul alludes to it in Corinthians as well.
Sorry,
it is that like,
the passage you're quoting.
He chastens whom he loves, right? Kind of idea and mindset. But yeah, that specific verse I just read was Hebrews.
Okay.
Hebrews 12:11.
There's 2 Corinthians chapter 7 talks about almost
this is the same thing.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. You can flip there. But so once again, even intrinsic though to Hebrews, right? Like implication that it goes beyond you and God, also beyond just like punishment and discipline, and more so I would argue to like subjecting oneself to the type of critique that we're describing here, you know, like trying to have an openness to the reality that like we're not perfect, we need to grow, and how can we change our mindset to maybe not be so like sensitive towards maybe that feedback and instead like grow and learn to view it even as a positive thing, you know? So off the cuff, because I know I've talked a lot, just ideas, thoughts, what are things that maybe come to your mind, my friend?
I mean, the first thing that I think of when it comes to criticism and the fact that this new generation has a hard time receiving it would be like an example. Like I want to see like an example of What would that look like? That would be like you. Let's say some of our youth are in worship,
Mhm.
and another youth comes to, like, let's say the worship leader, and says, "Hey, listen, like, I just didn't like the way that was mixed."
Yeah, yeah.
What would you think like a response would be from, like, categorized by like this study and this about
Yeah.
Gen Z? You think it would be more like a
I've seen exactly that happen,
Sure.
and I've seen kids like shut down,
not okay.
not know what to say or how to answer. I
Okay.
mean, honestly,
Like
I've seen adults do
crying?
that. More just like quiet,
Okay.
you know. Like I honestly, like, anytime there's any kind of negative confrontation, I see some kids like play it off and kind of, laugh and, oh, okay, haha. But more often it's kind of like I don't know what to say. I don't want to know what to do. Okay, haha. And then there's a
And then they kinda
retreat,
Okay.
and then a simmering kind of, bitterness, things we should have said, things we could have done,
Okay.
So like mixing, I know, is something like very impersonal, and yet like if we use it as a metaphor of like larger things, like
Sure.
you're putting yourself out there, you're volunteering, and there kind of can become this like train of justification for like, well,
Sure.
maybe I just won't do that anymore if people don't like it, maybe
Yeah.
I won't talk to that
Okay.
person, I won't sit next to that person, I won't,
Okay.
small group, like, oh, they just always think they know better, like,
Okay.
right,
Okay.
stuff
So
like
that's
that.
simmering, that possibility of bitterness.
Right.
I could definitely see that happening as well. Now let's contrast that to what do you think is like a healthy way to like deal with that
You tell
criticism?
me, what do you think?
Well, I have to say, like, when I'm like first confronted,
Mm-hmm.
the sinful part of me would want to lash out and be like, "What the heck do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, who are you
What?
to tell me that?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Who do
so
you
so to
think you
contrast
are?
that, yes.
What gives you the right?
Oh, they're gonna say, "What are you?
Yeah.
What are you?"
What
No,
are
so
you?
so to try and like restrain myself from like directly lashing out and being
Mhm.
like, "What the heck are you?" Like, you could say that a different way that would be like nicer.
Right. Right.
I also kind of like take a moment, pause, think about what they're saying, think about how it's coming across and how they might mean it.
Mhm.
Trying to err on the side of grace and assume that it's meaning the best
Right.
that they're saying, and to take a moment, maybe like an hour a day, to like think about what is a healthy biblical way to address
Right.
this.
Right.
Am I in the wrong? Should I, in looking at scripture, should I change something?
Yeah.
Is this a preference? Is this somebody that's just like trying to give them their idea and they might have delivered it in a way that might have been a little bit more abrasive
Mhm.
to me?
Right.
Is it a me thing or is it a them thing? Should I address it with them? Should I bring in somebody else to kind of talk about this? Is it something really serious, or can I
Right.
just move on?
Right. Right. No, for sure.
That's kind of just off the cuff. Kind
Yeah,
of idea.
no, I think that's super good, and I think all of us, objectively, particularly when it's something that's really opinionated, can step back and come to that reality, right?
Sure.
I think maybe it gets more controversial when it is something like context of some of these quotes, like your work or job performance, where maybe it's a little less opinionated, it's a little bit more objective of criteria, and yet like just the uncomfortableness of like maybe your boss just sat you down and was just like, hey, I feel like you could be more efficient in this, or I feel like you should, like we don't like that absence of praise, and that's where like
Yeah.
I think some previous generations like I know when I've talked with my dad about this sometimes, like my dad doesn't have nearly as much of a need to be like praised over his efforts as I do. He's just like, I know I did a good job, like they can get over it, and I'm like, I
love that.
might think right, and I'm like, I wish I could be more like that sometimes, but like there are
Yeah.
times where I'm just like, I know I did a good job, and why don't they just care about it the way that I do, and that kind of thing. So like, well, here's another thought, okay? And this was kind of on my mind as I was planning some of this. I was listening to this podcast, and the host critiqued a very like niche classical song that I had never heard of, right?
Okay.
And it was like, a little bit of like criticism on like, oh, well, I wish he'd have written the lyrics this way and written the melody this way. And it's one of those things where I'm like, bro, it's like doing that to like Bach or Beethoven, and I'm like, that's the kind of thing that people just like listen to and they're just like, oh man, like that is what it is, and it's amazing, right? Like, it's
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
really something that, like, I feel like many people have enough of a grasp of the technical value to, like,
Sure.
objectively criticize
Yeah,
it.
or they just don't care.
Right. Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say, is this guy was able to offer that opinion and criticism on such a, like, niche thing because he cared so much about it, right?
Okay.
And that's where, like, even though he kind of, like, roasted this, you know, like,
Oh, I see. So he was
artist,
so passionate about this.
so passionate
specific-
about, like, this
type.
particular niche of, like, music and
Sure.
style and stuff, that he was able to offer an opinion.
Okay.
But even though, like, it was one of negative critique, it was an opinion that showed how much he truly cared about, like, the product and the
Okay.
area, right? He
Okay.
ascribed a value to it. He was passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that, like, really opened my eyes up, and maybe even, like, kind of the
Mm.
first takeaway that I really want to, like, give to the youth group. Like, I think we should work towards viewing critique or feedback, even if negative feedback, view it as an indication that someone cares, right? Similar to what this verse is saying, right? Like, no chastening, right? So substitute, right? Like, we know chastening is more that, like, discipline kind of, you know, but, like, no feedback, no criticism seems to be joyful in the present, because nobody likes to have that correction. It's rather painful, but nevertheless, afterwards it can yield peaceable fruit and righteousness to those who've been trained by it. And that's where, like, if we view that criticism or that, like, sure, in context, chastening, that desire to, like, uphold a standard, help someone grow, train them, right, through the feedback. And that's maybe, you know, a piece that can be more on the person delivering the feedback, is, like, are you coming from that perspective of training and care, as opposed to just, like, breaking somebody down. So we can revisit that in a second. But, like, at the end of the day, learning to view any and all feedback, right,
Sure.
positive or negative,
Possible.
as
Constructive.
coming from a position of you care enough about what I'm doing, me personally, my performance, my contribution, enough to say, here's maybe how it can be improved or
Okay.
better.
I
you know?
have two thoughts with that.
Tell me.
The first is, I think that requires, like, two internal aspects
Okay.
in order to achieve.
I love it.
You can, like, correct
No,
me if you think
tell
you're-
me, tell me.
I think that the first is humility,
Yeah.
right? There's got to be humility about, like, who you are,
Mhm.
and what role you play in
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
to then see that, hey, listen, I'm probably not perfect.
Right.
I probably can grow in this area.
Right.
And then I think the second thing is, although I don't like to, like, focus on self-esteem, like, a whole lot, because I think it's kind of blown up by society, but I think, like, a proper estimation of self-worth
Right.
in view of Christ
Yes.
is also very huge.
Right.
Because if you don't have an idea of your worth in God's eyes, then you'll
Right.
crumble, because you
Yes.
think yet your worth is kind of bound up in what you're doing here.
Right.
And then you're, like, shut down because it's not good. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I think those two thoughts, absolutely prerequisites that require maturity to
Yeah.
you know, approach and actually apply. But they're even connected too, because, like, genuine humility is not, like, thinking less of yourself. It's
Sure.
thinking about yourself less, right?
Okay.
So it's not, man, let me just view myself as a piece of garbage and trash, and then, oh yes, I need to be corrected. I deserve to be corrected because I'm a worthless, you know. No, like, once again, if you were worthless, if you weren't bringing anything to the table, you probably wouldn't really be worth correcting, because you're just a lost cause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But instead, what you're saying,
Yeah.
right, is
Wow.
much more
Okay.
like, wow, let me instead, like, humble myself in the sense of, like, just not esteeming myself to this height level, not thinking and dwelling on my perfection and skill and being the best, you know, like that's more like the pride manifestation. And then instead, like, this kind of second aspect that you're bringing to, like, acknowledging my work is not my worth, right? What I bring to the table, my efforts, etc., like, that is not how I esteem the value of myself. God has already looked upon me and ascribed a value to me, has ascribed a level of worth there. And that's where, once again, whether it's God growing you in this process of sanctification or a more practical outworking, whether it's in your job or your school or whatever, like, you've got to continue to receive that feedback and not make it a measure of your value. Rather, you are valued, you are worth critique.
Correct.
So that I can continue to grow and improve, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, I definitely think, like, before you can come to the table of, like, practically what does this look like, which is where I'm about to head to in a second, intrinsically to your mindset, like, you need to determine, okay, can I approach whatever this is with humility?
Yeah.
And can I acknowledge that my value exceeds whatever it is that we're talking about because Christ has determined I'm worth something?
Wow. Yeah. No matter what it is.
No matter what it is,
Even if
right?
it's your character.
Dude, could be, right.
That's tough.
Could be character, could be like your gifts, right? Like your, you know, what you feel like you have put your identity in, and we know put our identity in Christ, but like oftentimes that's associated with like, like for me, maybe it's just ministry circles, but like my pastoral identity, my worship leading, you know, whatever, right? Like, this is who I am in Christ because Christ uses me in this regard. And that's where I say, like, don't go there because it's not true. I'm a child of God, and that's it. That's all I need. Sure. But like we often do think of it in terms of those things.
No,
and,
for sure.
And
absolutely.
Man, like, so which makes, like, if someone has a constructive criticism related to worship or like song selection, like a message I gave, something like that, so much more like, oh my goodness, like I just put my whole heart on the line there, you know, I just exposed a piece of my soul that you just like spat on, you know, and that's what, once again, like, learning to receive that. If I'm humbling myself and going, you know, my worth is in Christ, it's not bound to this. I'm way more capable of receiving it in a positive way and learning from it as opposed to letting it cultivate a root of bitterness or something like that in my life.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that idea. And I'm somebody who's dealt with social anxiety for a long time as well. And I can honestly say it's crippling a lot of times. If you don't know what social anxiety is, I could describe it as like a fear of judgment from any person at any time, and especially in conversations.
Oh, bro, this is so bad. You struggle with that? Because I judge you all day. I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just kidding.
And I don't care what you think. You're stupid.
You just revert. I'll take it.
No, but it's honestly, it was very hard for me for a long time to deal with that and make new friends and put myself out there and talk to people or to receive criticism. Right. Because you're constantly worried, what is this person going to think of me? Like, I want to be somebody who's thought of as like faithful, good, kind, gentle. You know, all these beautiful things that are not necessarily bad. They're very good virtues to seek, but you're seeking them from the wrong opinion. Right. You're putting all of your eggs in one basket. All of the people's opinions they're making up your identity instead of your identity being primarily in Christ. Right. And these people. And their opinions being a helpful avenue in navigating that. I think practically, you know what I mean? Right. So something that the Lord ministered to me, I read a book a long time ago. I think it's, I'd have to bring it. I think Searching, I have to look it up. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head. But it said in the book, and it's a very simple idea, but it hit home for me really, really hard. It said you need to know that your identity is made up in completely what God thinks and not what other people think. Wow. Bro. It is not what other people think of me that determines who I am. It is what God thinks of me that determines who I am. And therefore, even if someone comes to me with criticism, I can say, okay, this doesn't define me. I'm defined as a child of God who's beloved and worthy of Christ dying for me in the estimation of God's eyes. And also, I'm someone who can work in this area. Practically. Right.
Because who God tells you you are is someone he loves, someone who's valued, someone who brings someone to, and yet also a dirty, rotten sinner saved by grace who needs to grow, right? And so if you can accept that in Christ,
Yes.
then you can approach the
Yes.
opinions of others with a grain of salt. And literally, I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now. Pastor Jim Randall, a former pastor here at the church, used to say, eat the cherry, spit out the seed. You know, you can take the piece of value and what they offer you in constructive criticism, and yet leave the part that's just like, oh, also that was just delivered to me by another human who's also fleshly, and whether it was poor communication or whether they're even just like wrong overall,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
you know what? I can take a piece of that,
Yeah.
apply it, digest it, receive it, and I can spit out the piece that's
Yeah.
just, you know,
Absolutely.
not there. So
Absolutely.
eat the cherry, spit out the seed, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, bro. So practically, like, as we kind of consider that, because I love that, bro. Like, you really want to grasp this mindset. You
Yeah.
need to embrace humility in that regard and recognize the value that you have in Christ. Your identity is who He
You're
tells
secure.
you are.
You really
So
are.
that you have that security,
Yeah.
right? But then from
Yeah.
there, practically, like, as we approach the feedback now of others, as people give you that criticism,
Yeah.
that feedback, that once again, this generation, you guys are often like looking for, you're wanting, and yet whether you actually like it or not, right? Like, you can approach that with, and here's kind of a few things I jotted down. And maybe it's even just this, like, how can you be less sensitive to that critique or
Okay.
to that feedback that,
Okay.
that is given, right? Because
Okay.
if you're being given that positive feedback that's all praises and stuff like that, it's like,
Sure.
I'm not going to be sensitive to that. But how can we be less
I'm
sensitive
neither going
to
to accept it, though. 'Cause
Oh,
I don't
okay.
If I'm only getting positive
It's
feedback,
true.
I doubt
I
it.
might not believe it.
I'm not. I know. I
yeah.
literally won't. Like, that's
Yeah.
just me. Like,
That's good, bro.
I have a hard time accepting any feedback that I know.
I
is-
tend to
is the only
enjoy being buttered up a little bit. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not.
I
but-
don't deny I do as well, but I
Yeah.
also start doubting it when that's the only
When that's
thing.
the only
because
thing that
I
you
know
get.
I'm not perfect to
Right,
deserve
right.
that.
Yeah,
know what I
true
mean?
that. But
go
yeah,
ahead,
so no, you're good. So how can we be less sensitive to critique? One of the first things I wrote down, and once again, I believe this is kind of grounded in scripture, but I don't exactly have like a verse for it. Just CCB, be real about what you're after. You know, the verse says joy or pain. Like, if you're just looking for joy all the time, that's not reality. That's not life, you know, like, and you can choose to have joy even in the midst of those trials and things like that. But like, the reality is we are not just always joyful, because sometimes life is hard. Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we need to grow. So be real about what you're after. Like, are you really looking for affirmation to make you feel good, or are you looking for progress? You know, because if you're after progress, you need to be open to,
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
not perfect, I'm not
Yeah.
doing well, right?
Yeah.
Affirmation is
Wow, that's
good
good, okay.
if that's what you're after, but it does not really result in change or growth. So the reality is, like, we all need to grow, and if you need to grow and you're not perfect, then you also need to recognize, like, okay, I need to receive some feedback that I'm probably not going to love so that I can grow, right? I mean, especially for our listeners, right? Like, so many of you guys are like teenagers, young adults. You have a long road ahead of you. And if you've already determined in your heart, like, oh no, I'm set in my ways, I'm good, you're not going to keep growing. You're going to find yourself, you know, stagnant. And so ask yourself honestly, like, do I want to grow? Do I recognize I'm imperfect? Do I, you know, desire to continue to make progress in whether it's your job or school or, you know, whatever area you're open to receiving that feedback? And if so, then prep for some pain for the purpose of progress, you know?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that before I keep
Interesting.
moving?
No,
Yeah.
I love that, and I can really relate to that because I started a new job, and a very difficult job at that. Too.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And a job that's surrounded by people's opinions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Ooh, yeah.
you know what
Medical
I mean? It's like,
field, baby.
It's like that, and like serving food, and like retail. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
definitely know what people think of it. About you,
Right.
not even the good parts either.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, I feel like everyone's just being like a really mean person. It's like, okay, I get it. Like, I gotta grow, but do you really have to like
Right.
be so
rude about.
rude or
Why you
sensitive
gotta
about
be
that too?
so rude?
But I honestly, I had to take a step back and be like, okay, these people are in a rough place,
Right.
you know. Even if they're not, I don't have to necessarily take it all to heart.
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? I think there's something said about judging what do I want to say? Like the value of somebody else's opinion.
Yeah.
Where are they at?
Yeah,
emotionally?
yeah, yeah,
Where are they at
exactly.
mentally.
No,
are
for
they
sure.
Are they in a healthy place?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To then give that
Right.
criticism. Not saying that like.
Right. So,
should throw
like the
everything
guy
out.
in the illustration I gave, like, are they actually an expert in this niche? Do they really,
Yeah.
like, are they informed enough to have an
Yeah.
opinion? Because if not, like, I'll just,
Yeah. It's
in a
always quite
non-boastful
much.
way, just acknowledge you just don't really know what you're talking about. So,
Yeah.
sure, say something, but I'm not going to, like,
Yeah.
feel the need to ruin a relationship over your naivety, you know,
Sure,
kind of
sure,
thing.
sure. And also,
Yeah.
I think there's just a part of that where you grow some thicker skin.
True
You
that.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
just be less
And
sensitive.
you just
yeah.
like there came a point where I was like, okay, when I go to work, I'm just kind of gonna get beat up by people a little bit. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna focus all my attention on the negatives that people are giving.
Right.
I'm gonna focus on the things that I'm doing right too.
Mhm.
I'm gonna look at the things I'm doing wrong. I'm gonna change those things, and I'm gonna just keep working towards becoming better.
Right.
And time after time after time, it started to kind of wear off. Not that I was ignoring people's opinion, but then
Mhm.
I was taking it less personal.
Right.
And I was just actually just kind of taking the facts, like you said, taking
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
the fruit and spitting out the seeds,
Right.
and then able to move forward in that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I'm still working on it, but it's a skill I think the Lord is developing
Right.
over time, like as you get exposed to that.
No, that's good, bro. And that kind of leads into the second thing I was just going to say is like, how can you be less sensitive to critique? View it as training, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're earning your reps right now in this state of life. And it's kind of funny. I've talked with some more seasoned gentlemen in our fellowship that,
Yeah.
like, in a non-entitled way, are kind of like, you know, man, like, I'm kind of just past the point of, like, rolling with that and just this is how I'm going to do it. And that can be a dangerous position to be in. Yet, if you have been doing this for 50 years, like, okay, yeah, like, probably
Probably figured
you can
out.
probably be a little more skeptical to the advice that the guy who's been doing it for 4 is giving you. And you're probably less prone to, like, being a jerk about it because you just know. It's just, like, humorous to be like, really? You think that is better? You know, like, you don't even know, bro.
Yeah.
I invented
Yeah.
this.
You
you
invented the
know?
wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what's awesome too? What feels really good is seeing all the mistakes that you make
Right.
and then knowing what to do the next time,
Yeah.
doing it, and then receiving praise for that.
Right, and
That feels
acknowledging, like,
really,
hey, I learned
really
and
good.
grew. Right, so
That feels
that's what I
awesome.
say, like, training. You know, CCB youth, Gen Z is who we're really talking about, Gen Alpha, even millennials. Like, the oldest of the millennials is, like, what, like 40 maybe?
I don't know.
Gen Z, you guys are younger than me, and I'm, you know, oh God, I'm 20, almost 28.
Old fart.
Yeah, I'm getting there. But like really, like, you haven't been you're not even in the prime working years yet. So just acknowledge, like, there's definitely going to be room to grow, even if I really know what I'm talking about. And like you just said, I think evaluating the source is great, but view it as training, you know?
Yeah. Give up.
It yields fruit, this says, over time. Right now you're building those muscles, those calluses, those immunities that you do not have, but that you will need over the course of life. And Proverbs 15:32, it says, whoever ignores instruction despises himself, but he who listens to reproof gains intelligence. And I just love this proverb because it shows that listening takes place either way, right? The wise one hears and gains intelligence, whereas the fool hears and then ignores. So I just, encouragement, right? Like, you're training, so listen and apply as opposed to listening and ignoring, you know?
Absolutely.
And then the last thing on here, I put model the long-term goals in the short-term responses. I'll say it again. Model the long-term goals in the short-term responses. So the goal, right, even just from this verse, Hebrews 12:11, yielding a peaceable fruit of righteousness, right?
Okay, I get it.
So being someone, righteous, correct, good, better, but like I love the adjective that we can so easily look over there, which is peaceable, Like when you are corrected, the immediate reaction is to get defensive, to attack the person holding you accountable, to rage. I put in my notes, do rage. Don't do rage. Rage and pursue conflict, which is just, so human. But God wants to yield a peaceable fruit of righteousness that continues to learn and receive regardless of the source, right? So make that long-term goal, yielding peaceable fruit, the short-term response right now of just, like in this season of life, I really need to focus on learning and growing. So let me disposition, I use that word all the time, to peaceable, right? Encounters and reception as opposed to conflict, rage, defensiveness that so often characterizes our response,
I love that.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to learn and also give grace.
Yeah, dang, bro. Which we have been showed in great amounts. Therefore, how can we render any less,
Absolutely.
So,
good stuff.
last thing I got, I already said it, but I was going to close with it. Eat the cherry, spit out the seed, Take what works, spit out what don't. What don'ts? Wise wisdom from Pastor Jim that I just butchered on the delivery. So there you go. Everything. That's all. Is that all you got? Anything else to add?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I relate
sweet.
to that so much.
I love
That's
it, bro.
So good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll one more break, and then we're gonna hop into our Christmas movie bracket to call it a day. Here we go.
Let's go.
What's up, podcast listeners? If you find yourself in the Tampa Bay area. What's up, podcast listeners? If you find yourself in the Tampa Bay area on Friday, December 20th, we invite you to our church-wide Christmas party here at Calvary Chapel, Brandon. It's going to be a great evening of food and games and fellowship. We're really looking to make sure that those who have started attending our church recently are getting connected and plugged in with friends and fellowship. And this is an evening that, contrary to a typical service, offers a little bit more time for fellowship and discussion. So we really hope to see you there. And if you need more information on that, you can go to our church website, calvarychapelbrandon.org. Now, beyond that, if you are in the CCB youth group, we, that same night, are actually going to go from the Christmas party into a CCB Youth the House Christmas after party, in which the evening will continue. We're going to have a all-nighter and lock-in full of activities here at the church over the course of that evening into Saturday morning. And once again, under the same note, it's really just a great opportunity to celebrate Christmas in like-minded company, get to know some people that you might not otherwise have had time to connect with, and we look forward to supervising a really fun and safe evening for all of our CCB youth. So if you're in 6th through 12th grade, you can come on out to that. You can talk to me or another leader, or even send a question in to the ccbuyouththehouse@gmail.com email, and we'll try to get back to you. But otherwise, once again, that's on December 20th through the 21st if you end up staying for the youth after party. And we are looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks. All right, we are back. Here we go. All right, so the way this is going to work, we have got... I got 16 Christmas movies
Let's
here.
go.
All right? And we are going to pair them
So stoked.
up against each other and slowly bracket down, just like we did with the all-around Bible character game. And I'm going to intentionally try to keep them, kind of ballparky, but a couple parameters as far as, like style of movie, right? I'm probably not going to put, notoriously funny Christmas movie up against a really heartfelt sentimental one, at least in the
okay,
first
you're gonna
round. I'm
match
gonna
the
try.
Okay.
Eventually, we're just gonna have to determine the best. But
Okay.
the other thing, I will say this: certain ones, I'm not doing just the individual movie. So if there's sequels in a series, so like I'll give you an example. The Santa Claus movies, I'm just doing like the Santa Claus trilogy, not like Santa Claus 1 versus like Santa Claus 2.
Okay,
right?
I got you. Like a whole
or
bunch together.
Home Alone, right?
Okay.
It's Home Alone. I would just say 1 and 2 because I would argue those are like the only real Home Alones. All of the other, little sequels and stuff like that were just not even worth our time. So
Okay.
the ones with Kevin McAllister,
yes.
for sure. So those are 1. So we'll just say like the Home Alones versus, something else. I think that's pretty much all I got. All right, you ready?
Yep, I'm just looking up so much just to remind myself because I think I pretty much have seen all of these.
Yeah, some of these I haven't seen in a long
I
time
haven't.
either.
I don't think I've
so-
seen White Christmas though. To be
Yeah,
honest with
as
you.
a very sentimental one, I figured several of our CCB youth have seen it. All right, so let's start. We'll do. Oh my goodness! All right, It's a Wonderful Life. Have you seen that one?
I love that
Oh
movie.
yeah, I love the movie too. All right, up against White Christmas.
That's the one I just said. I didn't see.
Oh yeah, that you have not seen. I will tell you, it's a pretty endearing and sweet Christmas movie. It's got lots of good themes, but
trying to remember.
the overall message of "It's a Wonderful Life" is so good,
I love that
and
movie
they are
so much
ballpark. So,
so.
frankly, for me, if I'm watching like a black
Man.
and white, sentimental movie, it's
Yeah.
at Christmas time. It's gonna be "It's a Wonderful
I
Life."
love
So
It's a
I think that
Wonderful
one
Life.
wins.
That movie is, man.
Good.
It's got such a good story.
I agree, bro.
Movies back in the day,
Yeah.
they're just they make them different.
All right, so already White Christmas off the table, which is perfect. You hadn't watched it.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. The Grinch live action with Jim Carrey versus The Grinch animated with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Are you gonna think of a small child? I like the animated one better.
Really?
I just
Chiefy
am
is
really.
so weak sauce.
I know.
It's
I'm
so
just.
weak
I'm just
sauce.
really freaked out by the.
Why are you scared of him though? He's so
He's
good.
so freaky, bro.
What about him so
It's like
freaky?
the horror. This is the worst horror movie I've ever
It's
seen.
not. He's got a big, good, happy heart.
He doesn't look. Tell his face that. It doesn't look like it. It looks like he just walked out of the.
Dude,
Pet of the
that movie
devil.
is so funny. But that's the Grinch. Like, he's supposed to be... He's got a whole song about how sleazy, slimy, nasty he is.
Yeah.
The cartoon one, I just can't even stand Benedict Cumberbatch's voice in it. It's
You don't
so
like
annoying.
Benedict Cumberbatch?
I love Benedict Cumberbatch. He just sounds like a
I think it's Batches.
ridiculous person, huh?
Benedict?
I
Okay.
don't even know.
I'm
Patch.
I think I'm pretty sure it's
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, it's Batch.
No, he literally he sounds like he's got a cold the whole time.
What?
He's
You're
like,
crazy.
Max, what are you doing? Cindy Lou Who.
That's not true.
Oh, Cindy Lou Who. Like, that's like, dude, get some Mucinex, bro. Really? You want to give it to...
That's where I'm at, bro. But if you want to do the Grinch live action, I just got to think against that. Like, I have since I was a kid. Ever since I saw that, I was like, nope.
I forgot to tell you, we can each have a trump card. One
I
trump
ain't
card.
gonna waste it on
You're
that.
not gonna
that
waste it
one,
on
though.
that one.
I'm not even. I'm not
But
passionate
here's
enough.
the
I just.
thing.
I
I
don't even
would
like-
use it, but then you're gonna vote against it on the next round.
I don't even like the animated Grinch that much. I mean, it's pretty good. I just hate that one so much more. The live action.
We should have had. All right. In the absence of someone to give a tiebreaker, we gotta rock paper scissors
Okay.
on it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I
You
win.
win.
All
I
right.
didn't even do it
Animated
right.
Grinch is out. All right, and
Trying to remember myself.
the Jim Carrey Grinch, bro.
Oh, I've seen this one on Netflix.
He's got a heart.
I
Okay.
haven't seen this.
Let's look next. All right, Chidi, we were talking about this movie the other day. Let's do Rise of the Guardians.
Oh, I love that movie.
Rise of the Guardians. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're about big fan of that one.
I love that one.
Versus Arthur Christmas. Those are kind of like comparable style genre.
I saw the cover of Arthur Christmas.
You never watched
I never even gave it a shot because I was like, that looks so cheesy.
It is actually, I think, surprisingly good.
Is it?
It's very cheesy.
Oh.
It's
I'll
pretty
give it a good
humorous. I'm a big fan of like the Special Forces elves kind of vibe.
Oh, you know what? I have seen
But
it.
they're yeah.
I have.
They're
Okay,
not
okay,
like in the
okay.
Santa Claus, but I will still
Yes.
say
No, I know what
Rise
you're
of the
talking about.
Guardians
I have seen that.
is
little sister watched that.
such a cool movie, bro.
I have to go with the Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah, all right. I will too. I
That
will
movie's
too.
just like, it hits home.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody,
Rise of
the kids couldn't see him.
Right.
You know? And then at the end, they could see him.
Yes.
And then someone believed in him. It was
Someone,
so touching.
someone believed in
It
him.
was so cute.
Jack Frost. What a guy. Which is funny because he's a bad guy in other things. Okay, like Santa Claus. On that note,
What?
let's do the Santa Claus trilogy. Oof, this is going to be really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Versus
Oh, sorry about
versus the Home Alone duo.
Oh, dude, that's so hard.
Are you big Tim Allen Santa Claus guy?
I grew up with that. So
I know
that one hits
he's Santa
home.
Claus in my mind. I know.
Yeah.
But also Home Alone. Like, did you grow up on that too?
Oh, yeah, I grew up on that
Yeah,
too.
like
Those are like neck and neck for me. man.
right.
That
I
one's
know
like,
that could have been the final bracket,
oh man. It's
but
like,
we got to make a call now.
wiping my butt with sandpaper. This is
Oh.
horrible. I can't. This is painful. I can't do
Oh
this.
no.
Oh. What in
wow.
the world? What are you trying to do to me, bro?
Dude, which
I'm gonna have
one's,
to. Oh.
which one's
All right, I'm gonna go with
worse?
Home Alone. It's just so classic.
You think Home Alone wins?
Like I love the Santa Claus trilogy, but just the Home Alone just hits home a little bit more.
Home Alone hits home a little more.
Yeah, I love that you only put 1 and 2.
Yeah, the rest of the Home Alones,
They're
bro, they are
buns.
terrible.
They're so
they
bad.
are not even. I don't even think I've made it through like opening scenes in any of them. They're so bad.
They are bad.
Wow.
They.
I think I have to agree with you.
It's just so classic, you know. What
No,
I
and
mean?
I grew up watching the Home Alone movies more.
Yeah.
The Tim Allen ones
agree.
kind of clicked in later for me.
Okay.
So
Sure.
yeah. All right. We're gonna do Home Alone wins. We'll make it
That hurts me, but
blue,
I have
and we are going
consent to that.
give Santa Claus trilogy the negative.
Oh man, I can't believe we don't have the Polar Express on there.
Oh no, it's on there.
Oh yeah, you
It's
do
on
that.
there,
Okay.
bro.
Okay.
Okay. Santa Claus trilogy. All right. Let me see how many of these we have. Oh well, we got to make it through the whole first round. All right. Let's see. Let's do. Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh, that was so cute. I was trying to watch that pirated last night.
Dude, funny enough, you can find them on YouTube, but you've got to like look around because there are some bootleggy versions on there that are super weird.
Well, I couldn't find one over like 10 minutes long, so I was like, I
Yeah,
couldn't
there.
find it.
It's short though. It is a short Christmas movie. Yeah.
One
So-
guy cut out the gospel part of it. I was so salty
Oh
about that.
yeah. All right, so Charlie Brown Christmas up against Rudolph, the animated.
It's my fault for trying to watch it for free, though.
Huh? What?
I
Oh, it's
said
your fault
my
for trying to watch it for free.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You said Charlie
Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Oh,
Rain, the
man,
claymation
that's
one.
back in the day.
Yeah. With the.
Charlie Brown all day. I love Charlie Brown so
Yeah,
much.
you think so?
It's such a cute movie.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I really don't remember many details about the Rudolph movies, even though I know I
Yeah.
loved them as a kid.
Really?
There was a sequel with like the
Man.
toy taker.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
He was running around with the big giant blimp. He was sucking up toys.
I don't really remember that part.
Yeah, the first one, I don't remember many details on, but the second one I remember was a
there's two.
staple.
I didn't even know
there's
there's two.
a second one.
Yeah.
Staple every Christmas.
Yeah. I don't know.
But I remember more of like the dentist than I do Rudolph. So that should.
Why do I also remember the dentist?
Yeah, and I hate the dentist, so that should say a lot about how I feel about this movie. So I'm gonna just go
Oh,
ahead.
man.
We're gonna
Yeah.
not.
I think
Rudolph
that-
loses.
Rudolph was a little bit of a
And
drag.
Charlie Brown wins. All right.
And this is largely based on sentimental value as well. So
Yeah.
we're pretty biased on this.
Okay, Elf versus. Have you ever seen Christmas Vacation? I'm gonna
Lamp
tell
Woods?
you.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Lamp Woods. Yeah.
it needs filters,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah.
any CCB youth watch it, I'll just go ahead and tell you.
Vid
We
Angel
do
it.
not endorse everything in that movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Clear Play, Vid Angel, Angel
Yeah.
Vid, whatever that is called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Filter it. Talk to your parents. But I would argue Elf actually probably has a scene too that's a little risque, that probably needs a filter as well.
It has
so,
been a hot minute for both of those.
for both
me.
of those for you?
I know
Oh,
Elf
man.
is like super popular, but I haven't seen it.
You're not a big Elf guy. Okay. Well, so from what you reckon, do you
Yeah.
have an opinion?
Probably the Lampoon's Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, I know my girlfriend would kill me because she loves
She
Elf.
loves Elf or Elf. What did I just say? Elf. Dude, I go back and forth because the filtered version of Christmas Vacation is arguably like my all-time favorite Christmas movie. It's so funny.
Really? Yeah.
But Elf has such an endearing place in my heart.
sentimental.
It's so and just memories with friends and things like
I
that.
love
like
that they're riding home.
Yes.
Not Elf, I'm talking about the Lampoon's Christmas.
yeah.
And they forgot the stupid saw. I just feel like it's so relatable.
yes. Pull in the parking lot. First one's here. It's like, no, but it's closed,
Yeah,
bro.
pull it out of the ground.
Yes.
Oh,
No, there's
man.
so many funny moments in that. So, all right, here's the other thing. This is probably unpopular opinion. Elf is also like the only Will Ferrell movie that I actually like him in. He like low key kind of annoys me and drives me crazy. So just even on that, I'm like, all right, we're
Yeah.
gonna give it to
can
Christmas
feel
Vacation.
Okay.
Blue. We'll put Elf in the red
Please don't judge us
category.
eternally for this.
Yeah, that's definitely probably going to be an unpopular opinion, especially probably because most of our audience hasn't seen Christmas Vacation. But we'll keep moving from
Give us
now. All
constructive
right,
criticism about this.
let's do
I'm trying to like look through your mic.
A Christmas Carol, the Disney animated
Oh my
one
gosh,
with Jim
that's one of my
Carrey,
favorites.
versus let's go with
I think it's gonna be Automatic Blues, whatever it is.
A Christmas Story. Do you know that one? That's like, oh, shoot your eye out, kid, with the BB gun.
I definitely do. What is it? I'm trying to remember.
It's like a little blonde boy with
Oh.
glasses.
Oh, dude, that's been a long time. I don't.
Yeah. I think that movie's pretty clean. It's probably got some weird stuff in it too. It's one of those old classics that like everybody just feels the need to watch at Christmas time. I personally, I've never been a big fan of that movie, Christmas Story, even though it is a classic.
Yeah.
I think there's like one scene where he's like,
Oh yeah, I do remember this.
like Santa like goes off on him or something because he says I think that's actually the scene where he says he wants the BB gun and the guy Santa's like, you'll shoot your eye out, kid, you can't have that. Yeah, it's got some funny moments, but it's one of those that I'm like, I don't really understand the hype of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says a bad word, he gets his mouth washed out with soap.
Oh yes.
all
Yeah, I'm
the-
gonna have to give that to Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Oh,
I
man, I
concur.
love that movie though.
Christmas Carol's good,
Christmas
bro.
Carol is
Christmas
just-
Carol's a good
It
movie.
hits home for me.
It does. All right, we'll give the Christmas Story.
It's actually
the
kind of scary movie.
boot. Christmas Carol, yeah, it can be kind of
Rewatched
freaky.
it again.
Yeah.
It freaked me out. I was like,
Speaking
oh
of
my
freaky movies, here's the last two.
gosh.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, I hate that movie. I hate that movie.
With Jack Skellington, arguably also a Halloween movie, but I guess the plot
man.
is more essential to Christmas because he's trying to like
He's,
steal
like,
the holiday.
learning.
It was
Yeah.
on all those same lists, bro. I was like, this is a
Oh.
Christmas movie, and
Man,
The Polar Express.
I also don't like that movie. I don't hate it, but it just kind of also freaks me out a little bit.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I
of
think
those movies
arguably
freak
The
me
Polar
out.
Express is like the worst movie of all time.
Oh, dude, you gotta hurt somebody's
Dude, I
feelings.
know. If you love The Polar Express, God bless you.
Okay,
You don't even know
the elves freak me out.
the only character in that whole movie you ever even find out the name of is that the one kid who gets the present at the end. Ben or
Oh,
something,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You don't even know the main character's name.
You
What in the
don't?
world? No, they never even say it.
Are you sure?
100%,
I
bro.
don't know if I believe you.
Bro,
Maybe
I've
I'll check
tried.
that.
Hey, if it says his name online, you've got to listen really closely to figure out his names. And then,
And Tom Hanks also like voices.
yeah, he plays like 80
98%.
people in that movie. Yeah. Tom Hanks is like
Oh
a
my gosh, that kid!
Scientologist.
That kid that was like the know-it-all kid.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
even have a name. It's just like know-it-all.
Yes! That's what I'm saying, bro. None of them have
And
names.
the,
Only
the main
Ben.
character's name is Hero Boy.
Hero Boy. I'm telling you, bro. You don't
No.
even know their names.
You're right.
Yes. It's
Hero
ridiculous.
Girl. That's
So,
wild.
I don't really like either of those movies, but I would just because of I think The Polar Express is just kind of poorly executed.
Nope.
And boring.
Disagree.
You'd say Nightmare Before
Disagree.
Christmas is worse?
Yes. Well, no, okay. I don't think it's worse. I think it just freaks me out. Like I hate the
Yeah.
boogeyman scene. That's just no.
Oh, the Oogie Boogie
Ugh.
Man?
No.
He's
No.
got one really good line that just
No.
made me laugh so hard. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Putting my trump card in
Oh,
this one.
if you're feeling antsy.
Nope.
That made me
I
laugh.
hate that. Please never do that again.
Please never do that again. You're gonna trump card
I
on
feel
this
like
one? You're
Polar
gonna say-
Express is like the.
All right, I won't make you.
such a
I'll-
sentimental,
I'll
sweet
say,
little.
yeah, it's
Oh, we
probably,
have another.
it
Okay,
had
we
better
have to like match the
intentions.
next ones up.
We still we still gotta
Oh,
go a whole nother
okay.
tier, bro. All right, but here's the thing. All right, so we're gonna Nightmare Before Christmas lost
Yeah.
that one. All right, we're at an interesting pivotal point in this competition that I'm gonna give you a choice.
Oh.
We can go back through the next tier,
Uh huh.
seeking to find which one we find the best.
Uh huh.
We could also play it in reverse.
Oh, the worst.
We determine the worst Christmas movie based off of what is currently
Now we gotta stick to
available.
the best.
You
in
want
my
to do the best?
opinion.
You're sure?
It'd be funny.
It could be kind
And
of
we
fun.
could like, instead of determining what's the best, determine which character would win in a brawl.
Just fighting each other? Well, the Grinch wins everything, bro. He's like indestructible. He like blows up in that movie. I think we gotta
Also
still
true.
evaluate the
Yeah,
movie
you're
as a
right.
whole.
Okay, fair
but
enough.
you're sure you want to do the best as
the
opposed to
hero
the
boy
worst?
from Buffalo Express.
He wins everything.
He just-
No, he loses everything. That boy couldn't even hear a doggone bell. You want to go for the best?
Oh,
You
no,
sure?
Yeah, no, we gotta go for
All right,
the
all right.
best.
So
yeah.
let's try to move a little quicker. We got
Okay.
It's a Wonderful Life
Okay, what do you got?
versus
Uh huh. It's
Charlie
home.
Brown Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta try to. Oh, you.
Oh, my
that
hat
fell
fell off.
I'm trying to maintain genre. So It's a Wonderful Life versus Charlie Brown.
Oh my goodness, man, that's like
That's hard.
that's
hard.
horrible. That's like
Mhm.
pinning the little drummer boy against like, you know, some other saintly little kid. I don't. That's like two really sweet things fighting each other.
The drummer boy against the wise men.
The boys are back in town.
What do you think,
go
bro?
Charlie Brown Christmas because I did love it.
You just adore
It's just
that
so
one.
sweet. It's so sweet. Can't say it's not sweet. I feel like Wonderful Life hits home a little bit, but man, just like the gospel. It's the gospel, Caleb. They literally present the gospel in the middle of that movie. When does that happen?
I'm already a Christian, bro. I'm not the target
You don't need
audience.
the gospel anymore?
No, I do. I know. My pastor card is in check, but I already believe, bro. If I want to read the gospel, I'm just going to go to the Bible. I don't need Charlie Brown to tell me.
Fine.
Go eat your popcorn,
Be that
Charlie
way.
Brown.
Okay.
Gosh.
Go to Drafty House and.
I think you're right, though. As good as It's a Wonderful Life is, I don't love to like sit down and watch either of these movies because they are both so like old
That's
and
true.
boring.
Are we talking?
That's terrible.
Are we
but,
talking
like,
pleasure value, or are we talking like just like
just objectively the best? I don't know. I'm
objectively
trying
the
to
best.
off the
Oh.
cuff on both.
trying to be
I-
objective? Then it's probably a
It's
Wonderful
a
Life.
Wonderful Life. Yeah, but Charlie Brown's so popular. I think the thing I like about Charlie Brown is short. So like if I'm gonna watch a movie I don't really want to watch, I'd rather just plow through Charlie Brown instead of It's a Wonderful Life. I'm gonna give it to Charlie Brown.
Oh,
Well, It's a
man.
Wonderful Life could go on the
Can't
red
believe
now.
this is happening.
Such
a
I know. I'm just being
Green.
salty here.
I would do
Yeah,
green.
exactly. Green's easiest. All right.
There you go.
Let's go
Mhm.
with
What do you got?
the Grinch, Jim Carrey,
Jim Carrey.
versus the Polar Express.
Why do we hate these so much? These were our picks.
Yes.
I don't recall being.
Yes. I intentionally gave you that one so that the Grinch makes another
so
round
much.
because I hate the Polar Express. So if the Grinch doesn't win this one, I'm gonna lose my mind. I just
I
want
vote Polar Express.
No, GB. No. Hot,
you gonna
hot,
do?
we got it. Get out of here. Get
I
out of
love that
here.
song.
No.
Hey,
He should have stuck with just playing Woody.
Dude, when that
Tom
ticket
Hanks.
flies out of his slipper and then the
Bro.
bird eats it and then the wolf eats it and then gets pooped
Bro,
out.
you want to talk about freaky movies too? Tom Hanks' like ghosty character in that movie is so
I
sketch.
thought it was kind of cool.
He's cool, but so's the Grinch.
Nope.
But they're both
Denied.
sketchy. You gotta
Jim
you
Carrey
gotta give
versus-
them some space. Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Bro, I'm telling you, I still vote the Grinch. I don't think the Polar
All right, you
Express
gonna
should
pull
make
you
it
gonna pull a
another
trump card
round.
on me? We're gonna duke this out with the. Well.
No, I'm gonna pull a trump card to get. I want the Polar Express out. So even if the
Oh, man,
Grinch
I hate
doesn't
this
make
movie.
it, even if the Grinch doesn't make it another round, Polar Express.
I don't love Polar Express enough
gotta
to
go.
fight it, so
So
I'll submit
exactly.
until
All right, the Grinch
something else
moves
happens.
on. Jim Carrey's the Grinch.
man.
All right, we got A Christmas Carol, which is one of your faves,
Yes, I do. love
up
that one.
against.
Disney's
I'm gonna
A
put it with another one of your faves, Rise of the Guardians.
Oh, Christmas Carol. I do
think
love
so?
Rise of the Guardians, but man, you just
Yeah.
can't beat a Christmas Carol.
You can't.
Like when I think Christmas, and I just think of movies, that's like my top one.
Right.
Top
right.
top. Like I bought it.
Yeah.
Like whatever it costs. Like
When it came out, yeah.
$5,
Right.
$10, I don't remember. On Amazon.
Yeah, that makes sense, bro. Okay, let's roll with that. I completely agree. Rise of the Guardians is good, but Christmas Carol
Sure,
is
better than Grinch. I can tell you that. If you wanted to do that one.
I don't know about that. I just, I can't get behind it. All right.
Can you get in front of it?
Let's see. We got. Get out of here. All right, last two before we move into the final round. Christmas Vacation versus Home Alone 1 and 2.
Oh man.
It's kind of hard, but I actually
I kinda
probably would go with Home Alone,
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that one.
especially as a set. Like,
Yeah,
it's just so good.
it is so good.
Yeah.
I remember like being a kid, just like
Yeah, get 'em. Right, dude. There's so many like laugh-worthy
had
moments
so many
and quotes too.
moments where I was like, yes.
Sorry,
Justice.
Courtney sent me a text.
I thought to myself when I watched Home, I'm like, I want to be like this kid.
Right.
I want to like defend myself like this kid.
Yeah, exactly. Defend my home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, we still have 2 rounds because we have 4 movies. Okay, so.
Okay. I saw my trump card, by the way, so.
Oh, you do. You do, but you can't use it in the final round. So you got to use it in this
I
one.
gotta use it in this
if
one.
you use it.
All right.
All right. So what do you say?
You won't.
Christmas Carol
Uh-huh.
versus Charlie Brown
Oh
Christmas.
man.
Those are
What
the
in
two more.
world?
Those 2 are more sentimental versus the other 2 are more
Oh.
humor based. So
Okay. A
Yeah.
Christmas Carol.
really beats
Yeah.
Charlie Brown for you,
Yeah.
bro?
Yeah, bro.
You're trying to take that one all the way.
It just hits me.
Wow.
It just hits me different.
Wow.
Soft place in my heart.
I think I would go with Charlie Brown on that one.
Really?
Just because, okay.
Wow.
Just because, in similar fashion to a previous logic, Christmas Carol is a really long movie that I'm not sure I'm
is.
going to be captivated
Oh,
enough
man.
to make it through again and again.
I'm so
Now, if this
captivated
was
by
the
that.
Mickey Mouse animated Christmas Carol,
Yo, that one.
I
That should have made it.
love that one.
That one was good.
Really?
I concur. I
Okay.
grew up on that.
Dang.
I had the CDs and everything.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Really? Man, maybe we should have done that one.
I'm having a hard time with this one though, Pops. Oh man.
I'll give it to you. We can go with Christmas
Okay,
Carol.
okay.
I actually, honestly, I don't love Charlie Brown Christmas that much, but I
You're
I
just
love
not a
how
huge
short it
fan.
is so that we can plow through it. So
That can't even be a part. That shouldn't even be.
it's not a movie
consideration.
that I want to really watch.
If anything, it puts you to sleep. It's so.
Yeah. Okay, Grinch versus Home Alone. I already know your answer, and I think I'm okay with it. If the Grinch is gonna go down, it's got to be on Home Alone because I would. I would.
Wait, why did
concur
we
with Home
lose
Alone.
another one?
What do you mean? Why did we lose?
We should
another
have a
one?
final round.
We will. So
No.
between the Grinch and Home Alone, do you say Home
No, that's
Alone
not the
wins?
final round though.
No, I know. We still have one more. This one's orange.
Oh, that one's
Yeah,
orange. Oh,
yeah,
the
because it
Christmas
won.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you vote
I'm
Home
sorry, I voted
Alone
red.
over the
Uh-huh.
Grinch, of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
right? All
No,
right.
most
If the
definitely.
Grinch is gonna go
Good
down, I can
riddance.
do it on Home
Oh,
Alone. All right, so we're doing Home
Praise the
Alone
Lord.
versus
That's
the
out of my
Christmas Carol. Which one for all the marbles, Chiefy? You say Christmas Carol,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure.
Christmas Carol. All the way.
Oh,
What do you think? Home Alone?
I
lost my trump card, by the way. That stinks.
Right. Man, I definitely would say Home Alone. So let me ask you this: apart from
Ooh,
your
that's
personal enjoyment, objectively over the course of more Christmases, more years, sentimental value, all this stuff, not just your current. Because I'm
My
even willing to
current
say maybe
place.
this year Christmas Carol is your favorite,
Oh, but like
but
Christmases
longer
ago?
term,
Oh, back in the day it was Home Alone. Then.
yeah, Home Alone all day.
I've gotten more appreciative as I've gotten
Mm,
older, wiser, and fatter.
right. But you're such a humor guy. I really thought Home Alone might outweigh it, especially
It
at
does,
Christmas time. You know,
I know I do appreciate the humor. Man, there's something about like
just really rocked your world.
this
year.
guy. He's just a
Yeah.
grouchy old man, and he gets like transformed.
He does. I am a sucker for a good redemption story, particularly when there's an absence of pride and humility.
And it's like such a classic because it's not even just like it didn't even make this. This is a
Right.
show.
This is the Charles Dickens
The
book.
Dickens, yeah.
What the Dickens?
whoa!
Yeah.
We're gonna get moderated.
All right. I'll tell. Kids can be so cruel these days. That's a quote from the Lego Batman movie. All right. I will give it to you, but here's what I'll qualify it with this.
Really?
I'm gonna have to go back and watch because I haven't actually watched that movie in probably a few years.
Christmas Carol.
Right, but because you are so passionate about it,
I
and
am.
because I trust your opinion,
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume it's better than I remember and that it hits
Ooh.
different. And
You're gonna be sorely disappointed.
well, and maybe here's what I'll say. I trust that our youth kids will go and watch Home Alone of their own merit either way. They might not watch A Christmas Carol. And so apart from your
Oh,
recommendation,
oh, really?
so I'm
you're
going to
saying
say
is
A
it means
Christmas
nothing.
Carol, and CCB Youth, go watch it and tell us if you think we're wrong by sending us a meme caption in the CCB Youth House at gmail.com email because
Are you watching it?
you don't even have to be watching it. It doesn't even have to be remotely connected or related. I just
send us a meme.
send,
Okay.
send us a meme for the caption contest. And
gonna send
let
a meme at
let
this
your
point.
frustration with our determination of this fuel you. All right, Christmas Carol, Disney Jim Carrey version is the winner of our Christmas movie bracket. Hey, we got some cool episodes and some cool guests coming up in the future episodes. We're super excited to hopefully have, well, I won't commit just in case it doesn't happen,
Okay.
but
To be.
guests that you haven't seen before the next at least 2, maybe 3 episodes. So
gonna be
keep
Tom
tuning
Hanks.
in. No, Tom Hanks will not be on the show. He's a Scientologist. That would be a brutal interview with us.
Jim Carrey,
Jim Carrey.
but he won't be dressed up as the Grinch, or I will beat him up.
He will, and it will be Chiefy's worst nightmare. On that note, we'll see you guys later. Peace. Wait, where's my... Oh, no.
Take this house.